All right, I guess to start off, do you want to talk a little bit about what brought you to St. John's?
So I started St. John's in the fall of 2011, and I went there because my brother actually was already a student. He's 2 years older than me, and he got accepted to St. John's and chose to go. And then I spent, about 2 years visiting him and just really falling in love with the campus, its proximity to New York City, and yet it still had a very like campus feel to it. And so I thought it was sort of the best of both worlds. I also, when I got accepted into the Ozone Scholars Program, which was a very transformative experience for me in college, and something that I'm very grateful for. And so when I got into St. John's, got into the Ozone Scholars Program, and then St. John's offered me a very generous scholarship package. It just seemed kind of too good to be true. So that's why I ended up at St. John's.
Great. And then did you know what major you wanted to go into right away?
Yeah, I've always been a math and science person, and knew that I wanted to study a math or a science. So I came in as a biology major, thinking I wanted to sort of go the med school route. In my time at St. John's, and partly due to the Ozone Scholars Program, that pivoted about halfway through college to less of a medical focus and more of a public health and health policy focus. And so I came in as a biology major and graduated as a biology major, but my the path that I am now kind of working on and what I want to do with that degree definitely changed. But I did come in as a biology major.
Can you talk a little bit about what your current position is and where you work?
So I work at the Sala Institute at Hassenfeld Children's Hospital of NYU Langone, and I am a program manager here. So I am responsible for a host of things. The Sala Institute is a fairly small group within the Children's Hospital, so including program management, data analytics, hospital operations. The goal really of my group is to improve a patient and family's experience while they're admitted to the hospital. And so we do that in a number of ways, reducing the risk of safety events, and partnering with families to provide the best level of care for them. And so my specific role is really analyzing quality, safety, operational efficiency data, and managing a couple of programs that all aim to make it better for patients while they're here.
That's great that you're able to like kind of give back in your everyday job. So can you share maybe one of the biggest challenges for your current role and one of the biggest like opportunities or things that you love?
I really enjoy my job. There's a lot that I love about it. I'm like a very math science brained kind of person. So I think the things I'm working on are the things that I'm really good at, which is nice and empowering. And I think my leaders have all recognized that I work well independently and have given me a lot of like range and flexibility in things that I'm able to work on. So I appreciate that. So that while I am working on things that I already know and like and I'm good at, I also am able to take on new projects and constantly kind of be growing and thinking and evolving. So I think I've had a lot of growth here over the past couple of years, which I really love. I also just love the purpose and the mission of my group, because I think, it's awful to have a child who has to be admitted into a hospital. And so, anything that we can do to make that better for them is something that I feel really strongly about. I guess a challenge would be that I am within a small group. The Sala Institute is like 7 or 8 people within a children's hospital, which is, much larger within NYU Langone, which is obviously massive. And so I kind of get both the benefits and the challenges with both inherently being a part of a large system and a small group. It's when you're in a small group, you're doing a lot of work because it's all hands on deck for a lot of projects. And so things are really busy, and it's a lot of work for a small group to put out. So I would say that's a challenge. But then, that group being within the larger NYU system, I would say there are challenges with that too. Just, any large corporation, the politics of it, being kind of a small fish in a large pond thing. I would say maybe those are some challenges.
Yeah, I think, like students who are looking to figure out where they want to go don't always think about like a small organization versus a large. I think it's interesting that you kind of, as you said, have experience in both every day. So yeah, that's, I think, good insight for students who are looking maybe to go into a nonprofit or, into any kind of company in general. So what's maybe one or two things that you feel are kind of life lessons that you've learned along the way from when you were a student to now?
So coming into St. John's, I had gone to a very small private Catholic all girls high school. And it was a very, it was just a very insulated group, and my exposure to the outside world, and kind of not just, within my own bubble, but kind of recognizing the problems of the world. It wasn't fully formed yet because I was in this very small insulated group. Going to St. John's, and being a part of the Ozone Scholars Program and having the opportunity to study abroad and living in New York City, I would say that doing that and living where we lived and working with the communities that we worked with really opened my eyes to all of the many challenges facing the world and all of the real ways that someone can make an impact. And I think St. John's taught me to really, and when I was a student and when I was an Ozone scholar, I really learned that, when it comes to facing a lot of the challenges in the world, you need to really think globally about the big issues, but then most importantly, look at how you can make a difference on a local level. And so that's sort of in a kind of roundabout way why I ended up where I am at NYU and with the Sala Institute, because I feel very passionately about children's healthcare. And, there's a lot of issues with health policies and insurance and access to care and the social determinants of health. Those are big, big problems, and they're global issues. But what I get to do in my day-to-day work is a very local level, but it's still impacting care for the patients that we serve here. So I think St. John's, kind of showed me that it's, you can think locally about issues and you can make a big impact locally, and that will, serve a population. So I think that was one life lesson was, you might want to think big, and that's pretty overwhelming. And there's a lot of things that, you want to be able to fix and work on and be an advocate for. But it can be pretty daunting when it's so big or when it's such a global issue. And so to really act locally. And I think we did that as students, and I did that in Ozone, and I still do that today. I'd say the other really big lesson that St. John's taught me was just that exposure to different people, cultures, activities, food, music. I think being in Queens, having the opportunity to study abroad in Rome, being a part of the Ozone Scholars Program, I really learned to appreciate different perspectives. And I think that served me well as an adult and now in my just work and personal life, because I think I'm much more open to new things and meeting people and learning about people's beliefs and customs and opinions, trying new food, traveling as much as possible. So I think St. John, that's a really big life lesson that St. John's taught me, was to be open to new perspectives and to not shy away from the opportunity to do something new.
That's great. And I think very inspiring for, current students to just get involved and give back. I think that's obviously one of the main missions too, as a, Vincentian university, that we aim to give back. It's built into the core curriculum and everything. So it's honestly just great to hear that it had such an impact on you, even to where you are today, and that you're really enjoying what you're doing. So you're a very involved member of GOLD, which is the Graduates of the Last Decade. Can you talk a little bit about what you enjoy about being involved in that group?
Sure. So I love being a part of the Graduates of the Last Decade leadership group. I joined like 3 years ago, and immediately kind of got involved in everything. I think something nice about that group is that we are involved in so many different pieces of like alumni connections and networking. So there's volunteer work, there's networking stuff, there's social events, there's a lot of things that we can do. I also really love just the opportunity to be able to connect with other alumni because there are so many in the New York area, which is where I am. It's nice to be able to see people, be able to stay in touch, be able to talk about our experiences. So I love that I can still connect and reminisce with friends from St. John's and Gold that I didn't know in school but have become friends with now. So on a personal level, I think just being a part of Gold has been a great way to expand my own social network and just have a fun time with people that I really enjoy and value. And then I think the great thing about Gold is that it helps to connect young alumni, most particularly in New York, because that's where I am.
Really stepped up to assist with the getting Gold involved with the President's Dinner. Do you want to do a little plug on that?
So the President's Dinner is an annual event that St. John's puts on to raise money for student scholarships. It's a great event. It used to take place at the Waldorf Astoria, and now takes place at the Hilton in Midtown. And it's a really great opportunity to honor alumni who have given back to St. John's in a big way, and to also, connect with employees, board members, other alumni, both, Gold and not Gold. So it's a great event, and it also raises a really large sum of money for St. John's student scholarships. I want to say President's Dinner raised over $3 million, which is incredibly impactful for students. I myself, had a scholarship when I was on St. John's, and that made it possible for me to attend and to then be able to go on to grad school. Without St. John's, I wouldn't have been able to do that. And so this event helps to raise money for those scholarships. The Graduates of the Last Decade has been involved in recent years in attending the dinner, and I serve as the Graduates of the Last Decade President's Dinner Committee Chair. And so my goal is to help get young alumni engaged in the dinner, because I think even if we're not able to contribute in the same way as some other older alumni, it's still really impactful for young alumni to be able to donate and to get into the habit of giving back to St. John's, a university that's given so much to all of us. I think it's very rare if you meet someone who's a St. John's alum who didn't have some form of financial help. And I think that I really recognize that, and I appreciate what St. John's has done for myself and my brother and, a lot of my friends. And so I feel very strongly that without St. John's, I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I want to help pave the way for other students who also need financial assistance to go to college. And the President's Dinner is a great way to do that.
It definitely has a huge impact. So it's great that you are able to kind of pay it forward from your experience and make an impact on the current students. What advice would you give to other alumni who are interested in giving back to St. John's?
Just to get started. It doesn't need to be a huge commitment. It doesn't need to be a huge sum of money. It doesn't need to be you know, whatever you're able to contribute, however you're able to get involved, it would be helpful, it would be impactful. I think anyone who does get involved would find it rewarding. So start small. If it's a donation, great. If it's some of your time, great. If it's a couple days, a month, or a year that you're able to really volunteer and give back. If it's coming to a basketball game and just reconnecting with alumni, I think that's a really great way to get involved and to still be a part of St. John's even after graduating. So I would say to start with wherever you are. It doesn't need to be a big time commitment. It doesn't need to be a big donation. I would say in whatever way someone is able to get involved to just get started.
Favorite professor?
Professor Rozanka.
Favorite St. John's memory?
Oh my gosh, this is so much pressure. Sorry, the J. Cole concert.
No problem. Okay, how about favorite spot on campus?
The Gray Lawn.
And favorite gold event?
Oh my gosh, they're all so fun. The summer social.
Thank you for joining us and giving us a little insight about your St. John's experience and your current career and where you're headed. We're really excited that, again, St. John's, it sounds like, really made an impact on where you ended up in your career. And we know that you'll continue to be, successful. We appreciate all the time and effort and energy you give as an alumni volunteer as well. And thank you for your time.
Thanks for having me.